Now we will study about the hypoglossal nerve. Hypoglossal nerve, this is the 12th cranial nerve. This is a motor nerve. It supplies to all the muscles of the tongue, that is both intrinsic and the extrinsic muscle, except the palatoglossus. Palatoglossus is supplied by the cranial part of the accessory nerve through vagus. Next, functional component. The functional components are general somatic efferent and general somatic afferent. Now this general somatic efferent carries motor fibers from the hypoglossal nucleus and supplies to the muscles of the tongue, and the general somatic afferent component, it carries proprioceptive impulses from the muscles of the tongue to the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Next we will move to the hypoglossal nucleus. When you take the transverse section at the level of the upper part of the medulla, we can locate the hypoglossal nucleus. The hypoglossal nucleus is located along the floor of the fourth ventricle beneath to the hypoglossal triangle, and this hypoglossal nucleus is of about 2 cm long, and it receives the contralateral corticonuclear fibers from the cerebral cortex, and this is about the location of the hypoglossal nucleus. Next we will move to the cause and relations of the hypoglossal nerve. Now the first we will study the cause as intraneural cause, intracranial cause and the extracranial cause. Now intraneural cause, we will go with this intraneural cause. Intraneurally it takes origin from the hypoglossal nucleus, then it descends downward and forward between the medial longitudinal bundle, medial lemniscus, pyramidal tract medially, and the reticular formation and the inferior olivary nucleus laterally. Then this nerve after emerges, it gets attached to the anterolateral sulcus by 10 to 15 rotels between the pyramid and the olive, and then this now becoming the intracranial part. Then when you take the intracranial course, this takes attaches to the anterolateral sulcus by 10 to 15 rootlets. Then this descends laterally by passing beneath to the fourth part of the vertebral artery, then divides into two bundles, enter into the hypoglossal canal, and within the hypoglossal canal these two bundles of the nerves unite and comes out as a single nerve through this hypoglossal canal, becoming the extracranial part. So next we will move to the extracranial cause of the hypoglossal nerve. For that, see here, this nerve, it gets attaches to the anterolateral sulcus, passing beneath to the floor of the fourth part of the vertebral artery, entering into the hypoglossal canal, and as two bundles, and at the lower part of the hypoglossal canal, this nerve forms a single trunk and becoming the extracranial. From here to here is the intracranial, now becoming the extracranial course, and this nerve makes a downward inclination in order to run between the internal jugular vein and the internal carotid artery. It forms and wind around the inferior ganglion of the vagus nerve and crosses this vagus nerve and comes to the front of this vagus nerve. Then it runs vertically downward between this internal jugular vein and the internal carotid artery. Then it goes deep to the posterior belly of digastric and the stylohyoid muscle at the level of the angle of the mandible. Then entering into the carotid triangle. In the carotid triangle, this nerve, it loops forward over the lower sternomastoid branch of the occipital artery. This is occipital artery. Then it proceeds forward by crossing superficially the internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery and the loop of the lingual artery. Now passing this nerve, it runs upward and forward above to the greater cornea of the hyoid bone, deep to this posterior belly and the stylohyoid muscle, and enters into the submandibular region. In the submandibular region, this nerve runs superficially on the hyoglossus muscle. There it accompanies the two veins, that is vena comitans, and above there it relates to the submandibular gland, submandibular duct, submandibular ganglion and the lingual nerve. Then this nerve runs forward by passing deep to the mylohyoid muscle. Then it pierces this genioglossus muscle and enters into the substance of the tongue to supply the muscles of the tongue. That is about the cause of the hypoglossal nerve. Next we will move to the branches of the hypoglossal nerve. This gives of communicating branch and the distributing branches. First we will study about this communicating branch. Now this gives one communicating branch to the superior cervical sympathetic ganglion, and it also gives one communicating branch to the inferior ganglion of the vagus, and it gives one communicating branch to the C1 fibers. Now this C1 fibers, it runs along with this hypoglossal nerve and supplies to this geniohyoid and the thyrohyoid muscle, and it also gives one communicating branch to the lingual nerve near the anterior border of the hyoglossus muscle. With this, the proprioceptive impulses are carried to the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, and this also receives a communicating fiber from the pharyngeal plexus. This is about the communicating communicating branches. Next we will move to the distributing branches. The first one is meningeal branch and the descending branch and the muscular branch. Meningeal branch, after origin from this hypoglossal nerve, it re-enters into the posterior cranial fossa by passing through this hypoglossal canal to the posterior cranial fossa and supplies to the meninges over the posterior cranial fossa. Then the next one is descending branch. This arises from the hypoglossal nerve within the carotid triangle. It runs forward and it runs downward over the carotid sheath, and this forms the superior root of the ansa cervicalis. This is also called as a descendant hypoglossal, and the inferior root of the ansa is formed by C2 and C3 fibers, and these two roots, they unite to form the ansa cervicalis, a thin nerve loop which is embedded on the anterior wall of the carotid sheath. Now the superior root, it distributes to the, or it supplies to the superior belly of the omohyoid, and this ansa directly it supplies to the stylohyoid, sternohyoid, sternothyroid, and the inferior belly of the omohyoid muscle. And then this muscular branch, it supplies to the muscles of the tongue except the palatoglossus. It supplies to both intrinsic and the extrinsic except the palatoglossus muscle. Then that's all about the distributing branches. That is, one is meningeal branch and the descending branch. Descending branch, it is carrying the C1 fiber also, that is forming the superior root and supplying to the superior belly of the omohyoid. And muscular branch, it supplies to the muscles of the tongue except the palatoglossus. Then next one is about the applied anatomy. The hypoglossal nerve palsy, which result in the ipsilateral paralysis of the one half of the tongue, and this can be tested by asking the patient to protrude the tongue. The tip of the tongue deviates to the paralyzed side. This is due to the unopposed action of the genioglossus muscle. Thank you.